Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Signing with Omar. Today is part 5 of the ongoing series, Common ASL Signs. Are you ready? Let's get started. Let's first start with the sign admit, which is also the sign for concede. So simply take your dominant hand, place that in the mid portion of the chest, and then you'll bring that away from the body, go into like a downward arc. Let me show you that from the side. That is how you sign admit or concede. But there's also another sign that I want to go over, which is bandwagon. Basically, what you're going to do is the same sign, admit or concede, but you're going to add the sign join, like this. So to sign bandwagon, now for the sign join, simply take your non-dominant hand. I would cup it or make a C or 0. Then you take your dominant hand and make use, and that will go inside the non-dominant hand. Let me show you this. So for bandwagon, admit, concede, join. That is how you sign admit, concede, and bandwagon. For the sign colony, simply take both hands, make C's, bring them in front of the body, and bring them downwards. That's also the sign for like group. But there's also another sign called colonization. That is totally different. Basically, that is forced culture or forced beliefs. So to sign colonization, you're going to start off with the sign forced. Basically, take your non-dominant hand, and I rest that in front of my body. You'll take your dominant hand, form a C, and that'll go over the hand and the arm of the non-dominant hand. It's like you're pushing something, forced. Now for the sign culture, simply take your non-dominant hand, bring that up with the non-dominant forming a 1 or the index finger extended. Then you'll take the dominant hand with a C, and it'll go slightly around, behind and around to the front for the sign culture. So force culture. Let me show you that from the side. Now for forced belief, basically the same sign forced, but belief, I normally just take my dominant hand, that index finger touches the forehead, and then it claps down on the non-dominant hand. Let me show you that from the side. So forced beliefs. That is how you sign forced culture, forced belief, but that's colonization. Now for the sign current or currently. Simply do the sign now. Basically take both hands, form Ys, but you're going to make sure they're very close to the body, and you'll bring them downward. That's currently. For the sign contagious, simply take your non-dominant hand, raise the index fingers or form a 1. Then with the dominant hand, you will extend that until like a 5, and the palm is facing the index finger, and it will close into form an 8. And the middle finger and the thumb will touch that index finger. So let me show you what that looks like. It's like something sticking to you from the side, from the front. Now, while we're here, what about the sign coronavirus? That's pretty common nowadays. So to sign coronavirus, take your non-dominant hand, put that in front of your body, and what I do, I form a fist or an S. You can do it like with a 0, it's up to you, but I form an S. Then I'll take my dominant 5, place that on top of the non-dominant fist with the fingers slightly towards the left, whichever side you're dominant on, and then I'll bring that towards my right. So let me show you that. That is coronavirus. From the side, that is how you sign coronavirus. For the sign dedicated, there's a few ways of doing that. I'll show you 2. The first way is to sign loyal. Simply take your dominant hand, form an L, bring that in front of the heart, and in a circular motion or clockwise motion, go right over their heart and then rest it up against the heart or the chest. That is one way of signing dedicated. The other way is promise. Simply take your dominant index finger up against the lips, and it goes right and opens right up into the 5 on top of the fist of the non-dominant hand. That is how you sign dedicated. Now for the sign devoted, which can be easily mixed up with the sign dedicated. But with devoted, I think of it as a little bit more intense or intensity to it. So you can do promise, but make sure you do it with intensity for devoted. But also when I think of devoted, I think of someone who's a real dedicated follower. So you would just do the sign follow as well. Now to do follow, simply I make fists, but with my thumbs extended, I'll take my dominant hand up against the back of the non-dominant hand, and it goes into a forward arc. Make sure you include that intensity on your face. All right, that is how I sign devoted. I know it can be easily mixed up with dedicated, but I'm trying to distinguish the two. It's really hard, but I think of devoted as a little bit more intense. That's just my opinion. Before I go, the sign warranty is a promise. So we already know how to sign promise, but warranty is the same way. So when you're thinking of a sign for dedicated, you can also think of warranty, which is a promise. That's just like a bonus sign for you. Now for the sign disregard. Simply take your dominant hand. I form 4s. The side of the index finger will touch the nose, and from here it goes outward and around. It's like a slight arc. And usually disregard is something negative, in my opinion. So make sure you include that on your face. That is how you sign disregard. Now for the sign discipline. There's a few ways of doing that. So when I think of someone who's disciplined, I think of someone who's they do a lot of hard work. So you can do the sign hard work. For the sign hard, you simply take both hands, form U's, and then bend them. And then you'll take the dominant hand and it will strike up against the non-dominant hand like twice. That's for the sign hard. Now for the sign work, simply make both S hands, bring the fist in front of your body with the non-dominant on the bottom. You will take your dominant hand and that will strike up against the non-dominant fist twice. So when you're doing someone who's disciplined, you'll just put both the signs together. Hard work. Now, when I think of someone who's a hard worker or someone who's disciplined, I think of them as someone who's very focused. So you can also do focused. Take both hands, put each of the open hands on the side of the face, and then you'll bring them downwards and close together. Here it is. So I think of someone who is disciplined. They're a hard, focused worker. So you can combine them all if you like. That is how you sign discipline. Here's another bonus sign, fortitude, which kind of falls along that discipline. That's someone, fortitude, they won't give up. So give up is holding both hands up, but you'll negate it for fortitude. Or you can do give up not. Or you can do the not before give up, not give up. That is how you sign fortitude. That's an extra bonus sign for you. Now for the sign dragon. That's something that breathes fire, as we know. So you'll just do the fire coming out of the mouth. Now for the sign spicy. That's just the opposite. That's like fire going in the mouth. So that's the sign for dragon, and then the sign for spicy. Now for the sign drawback. When we think of something that's a drawback, it's something negative. So you can simply sign, this is one way, simply sign negative. Take your index finger of your dominant hand and it will strike up against the palm of the open non-dominant hand. Negative. So that's the sign for drawback. For the sign effect, E-F-F-E-C-T, simply take your non-dominant hand, fingers together with the thumb up. Then I will take my dominant hand, formed the same way. I'll put it right here in the cross of or right here, right where the thumb and the index fingers come together. Lay that dominant hand there. Then I will go forward and down. And then I will sign happen. In other words, you take both hands formed with the index fingers extended, bring them in front of the body, then turn them on its side, palm turns downward, and they come almost together. So for effect, and happen. I'll do that from the side. That is how you sign effect. Now for the sign enlighten. I actually like this sign. It is to understand. So you simply take your dominant hand, the index finger, first form an S like this, and then you'll flick it upwards. Now, to me, enlighten is a little bit more than just having a little clarity. To me, I think of something enlightened, almost spiritual. So enlighten, what I do is clear understanding, or understand clearly. So that is how I sign enlighten. For the sign hard times, basically you can do the sign for struggle. Take both index fingers of both hands. They'll actually, in a circular motion, not touching, going out in front of the body. And struggle is something that's intense, so make sure you show that in the face. But you can also add the sign suffer to that. So you can do struggle, suffering. Simply take for the sign suffer, you make a fist and take that thumb and place it up against the mouth, and then wiggle it down. So struggle, suffer, or you can just do struggle, either or. That is how I sign hard times. Now for the sign hope. In my past videos, I've showed you this. Expect or hope, they're pretty similar. But a deaf person, they don't use that for hope. Usually they'll sign I want with some intensity. So deaf will sign hope as I want. Now if you're hearing like I am, there's nothing wrong with signing hope that way. But just be aware, in the deaf community, you'll probably see this, I want. Now, these are a few ASL signs I've just showed you in this video. I hope you have learned something from it. If you did, hit the like button, next hit the subscribe button, and last but not least, hit the notification button and stay tuned for my next ASL video.